I call to order the board meeting of the Northeast Ohio Sustainable Communities Consortium. Today is Tuesday, December 17th, 2013, and we are at the Akron Urban League. Welcome to all, and I am Grace Galucci, Chair of NEOSCC, as well as Executive Director for NOACA, and I will ask the rest of my colleagues to introduce themselves as well.
Bob Now, Vice Chair, also Director of Stark Regional Planning.
John Getchie, State Regional Counsel.
Bill Davignon, City of Youngstown.
Freddie Collier, City of Cleveland.
Jeff Dutton, Stark County Area Transportation Study.
Mike Challenger, Lorraine County.
Valerie Shea, RTA.
Nancy Cook, City of Akron.
Erin Gurm, Summit County Community and Economic Development.
Angie Byington, City of Elyria.
Anna Diacenis, Mahoney County.
Fred Wright, Akron Urban League.
Brad Whitehead from the Fund for Economic Future.
Gene Nixon, Summit County Public Health.
Jason Segedy, Director of AMADS.
David Peach, the Cleveland Museum of Natural History.
Ron Shorter, Center for Urban Regional Studies, Youngstown State University.
Rachel McCartney with the Eastgate Regional Council of Governments.
Lindy Burke, Cuyahoga County.
Steve Hampley, Medina County Commissioner representing NOACA.
Mike Nichols, NEOSCC.
Hunter Morrison, Executive Director.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment? Okay, hearing none, we move on to item number 3. The first item for action is the approval of the meeting minutes of November 19th. Do I have a motion to approve? Mike Challenger. Do I have a second? Brad Whitehead. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the release of the Vibrant Neo Vision Framework and Products. And before we get into this, I'm just wanting to say congratulations to everyone on the board, as well as the staff. It has taken us a long time to get to this point, but I think we should all be proud of the work that we have done. I do want to take a second to thank Hunter Morrison and the staff for all the work that they have done, as well as thanking our consultants for the fine job they have done. We still have a little bit more ways to go in order to assure ourselves that the work that we have done will continue forward. But let's take a minute just to congratulate ourselves and our colleagues, and I also want to extend a congratulations to the public. We did have a great amount of participation, and the public comments have been taken seriously, and in some cases they were what we expected, and in some cases they were not. But in any event, all of the feedback was extremely critical to the process. So with that, I guess, do I need a motion first?
Yes, you need a motion so we can discuss.
Right, so can I have a motion? Mike again, Challenger, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
John Getchie is my second, thank you. Discussion on the item, and now we'll ask Hunter to start the discussion.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. We're going to do this in 3 parts. Jeff Anderley is going to begin with a presentation on the engagement side, and as you know, we began this work on with a strong commitment from the very beginning to engagement, and I want to thank Fred Wright and Mike Lyons, who co-chaired that committee, which has been the center board of this effort from the very beginning. We'll be fully documenting the process, but I think I hope you share with us the satisfaction that we have done an extraordinary effort in outreach, given the nature of the topic, we've got a very robust engagement, which hopefully will set a tone for the future as we go forward into implementation. So, Jeff?
Actually, before we go to Sarah, when Sarah, you can go out there. Hunter, thank you very much for acknowledging the staff, and I would like to do the same. And I'm particularly thrilled to be able to have Joe McDonald and Kelly Britt, who have been trained at the NEOSCC boot camp and have come to us all the better. And we look forward, of course, to having Sarah return home to us.
No, you can't have her. It's a 2-for-1.
But I also want to ensure that you are acknowledged for your work and your leadership. So thank you very much, and let's give a round of applause to Hunter.
about the dashboard.
Okay.
And I'm just curious how built out is it? Is it to the point where you just need someone to feed data into it and it will start producing, or do you need a whole program written so that it works as envisioned?
And again, thank you very much for acknowledging the PMs. They did an outstanding job, but let's also give a round for Sarah. Hunter, I did notice that you missed them. I just figured that you were saving the best for last and you'd come back. Thank you very much. Again, I want to acknowledge that it has taken us a long time to get to this point. but we are here. We are requesting today the approval for the release of the Vibrant Neo Vision Framework and Products. So we have the motion, the second discussion. Any further discussion? Then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Next item is Resolution 2013-03 regarding the future of NEOSCC, the nonprofit. This item also we have spent the last probably 6 months discussing, and of course the board met, I believe it was in June, for a retreat and acknowledged the importance of the work that we were doing and the importance then of taking the vision, framework, and products that would be developed and further launching the effort into the implementation phase so we can actually make a difference with the work that we've done. And in doing so, we created a futures committee that worked with our consultant to develop a sort of a conceptual framework, a structure for a future. And so at this point, we are requesting that the resolution be adopted that essentially has the board acknowledge that NEOSCC will continue beyond the HUD phase, so that when the HUD grant expires, we have the interest in continuing to serve as a nonprofit that was formed to create a collaborative community of practice to establish a more vibrant, resilient, and sustainable Northeast Ohio. So I need a motion. Jane Nixon, thank you. And I need a second.
Second.
Jason, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And again, congratulations. I think this is very exciting to know that we are nearly complete with the first phase of our work and that we are moving diligently towards the second phase of our work. On to item number 4 for discussion. The objectives for the December-January watch list. Hunter?
We did not publish a separate green sheet this month because, as Jeff noted, our effort is principally focused on completing the documentation, publication, and then the round of meetings in what's left of this month, January, actually into February. So we didn't think it needed to do it a separate sheet.
Great. Next is the executive committee update. First item on that agenda is the futures work. And of course, now that we have adopted the resolution concerning the future of NEOSCC, a couple of dates that are very important. And I'm going to blow the third item because of the first item, so maybe I should move to the third item first. But the dates to keep in mind are January 14th at 1 o'clock. The executive committee, which is also the transition team, will meet for a workshop related to the future of NEOSCC. And as we had stated earlier with the development of this transition team, anyone from the board is invited to attend and participate. It is an open process. And what we are requesting for that January 14th date is that you review the work that the consultant has put forward and either acknowledge that you're comfortable with the approach of the many different items there, or look to propose an alternative to that particular aspect of the recommendation. We also will be committing to meet on the second Tuesday of every month through the first 6 months of the year in order to continue to work on the future of the organization. So those meetings will be dedicated for the future work, as well as, again, open to all. So I will ask that staff put that on our calendars so that folks can be aware of that. It is also our objective to use the date of July 1 as a goal for transitioning to a new board, so a seating of a new board for the next phase of the organization, which we are referring to as NEOSCC 2.0. And actually, I didn't entirely reveal what number 3 is, so I can hold off to number 3 when that comes in. Okay, so board action on vision in February is the next item. And thank you to staff for presenting all of the information they presented to us today. And the release of the products and documents was today. But in February, we will actually ask the board to adopt the vision. So that will be another big milestone in the board's work. And what we need to be cognizant of over the next few months before that February deadline, or that February timeline to adopt the document, is many of us are here representing organizations. So we need to ensure that when you come in here in February, you are prepared to vote to adopt that document on behalf of your organization. So if there's any work that needs to be done, such as resolutions from your governing bodies or discussions that need to be had with certain executive committees or such, please make sure those all take place so that when you come in February, you have all the confidence that your organization supports this.
Yes, and as you may recall, going back to the original grant application and our original contract, fulfillment of the grant includes the adoption by this body by I believe a supermajority, as I recall, of the final report. So I think it's going to be very critical that we work with you if you are not in a position to vote as an individual or have sort of broad authority to do so, representing your organization, that we meet with your appointing authority, or your board, your mayor, your county commissioner. I have already met with Mahoning County commissioners, and I will continue to do it as requested, so that you have your clear mandate to take action on the assumption that you support it, that you can actually vote for it.
Is that then the official language that we'll be voting on? Is it for the NEOSCC board to adopt the vision?
We haven't drafted the specific language, but yes, that would be the general purpose of that.
I don't want to speak for other people. I think it would be helpful to, as soon as we do know that, to share the specific language, even if it's pretty far in advance of February, so that we know what we're asking our board to do.
Terrific, yeah.
No, that's very important, and we'll go back and make sure that we have exactly the language we're committed to. It's been some time since we've all looked at the original agreements, but adopting is in essence what we're asking, whether it's accepting or what other language to be consistent with it. But we'll make sure we are technically correct on that.
So perhaps if we can ask the staff to come up with a draft resolution so we can start looking at the language.
Good idea.
Mike? No, we were approving the release of the documents, right, for the work that has been done, but then in February we would approve the actual work.
We frankly.
We were very,
I think we were very overly cautious. But what we're doing here is essentially we've asked you to authorize us to put this on the web, to go out in front of boards and commissions and say, this is what, on behalf of this organization, we are asking your support for. So the final action is in February. And the intent is, and particularly true with the metropolitan planning organizations that have a structure of approval, that it's been very clear that for a director to vote on behalf of his or her MPO or COG, there's a process of approval. We need to sit with the technical committee, the community involvement committee, whoever else. That director says, you got to get this before my body. But what is the this? Well, you just said this is the this. Take it forward, and so in February we can vote for it.
Can you remind me, this vote in February, did we need a supermajority? Is it just a simple majority?
My recollection, and Sarah, my recollection says confirmed it's a supermajority.
Which is
60%, I believe. 60, but 2/3. 2/3, yeah. I mean, ideally, you want a consensus of a group that's worked long and hard and wrestled with the facts. And I think we were trying. I wasn't involved in putting that originally together, but I think the intent was to communicate that this would be a broadly accepted document, not not winning by 50+1. Say what?
I'm sorry.
You don't want to filibuster, I understand.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Senator McConnell, we really don't.
And so, again, for clarification, I'm sorry, did you have?
I think what we've tried to be very clear, and that was when I put that one slide up, that the action of implementation is the action that takes place at the local level. So to be perfectly frank, if a county says, well, we don't know anything about this recommendation, that's not what we do, then for all practical purposes, you're not adopting that. But what we're really trying to do is get the broad vision, framework, and products before the public with a broad consensus that this is the direction we need to head, and these are the ways in which we're going to go about doing it. But as I said before, with 12 counties and 400 individual communities, plus 5 different metropolitan planning organizations and councils of government, people are going to use this in reality in ways that work for them. But we really made an effort to try to tie all of this together. And that's what we hope you can communicate to the commissioners, and certainly you gave me the opportunity last July to do so, and welcome that opportunity again to convey what this tells them, the tools that are available, and why this is important.
So maybe for some clarification, I think what the individual organizations would be adopting is the results of NEOSCC's work, which is the vision, the framework, and the recommendations. But the with the, I guess, the intent to support the implementation at the regional level, but with the specifics left to local government agencies. And maybe we could put some language together in as I mentioned, a draft resolution for us that would help folks to have that correct language, because by no means I think would any of our organizations be prepared to accept 100% of every aspect of the report if thought that they would have to implement it, because as Hunter said, not everything applies to every organization or every part of the region.
I think that would be very prudent, Madam Chair, to have a draft resolution so that we can make sure the wording is understandable and communicates what people want. We know from the history of the organization that wording choice matters, and we need to make sure we have time to have that discussion. And I think that should be a topic for January's meeting.
And we'll also need that, at least on my end, to get the authorization from our respective boards, because the key is going to be in the language of that resolution. So we want to make sure we can mirror the organizational resolution.
So maybe, Hunter, as soon as your staff can possibly come up with a resolution that would be the NEOSC resolution, but at the same time, perhaps a sample resolution for each of our agencies.
And Hunter, we would need that fairly soon because I would want to take it to my CAB, which meets January 9th for recommendation, to my board, which meets January 27th, to give me the authorization to vote on it in February.
So
we're backing in
in the spirit of setting deadlines, what does fairly soon mean?
Tomorrow.
January 8th. My TAC meets on the 9th.
So you don't need to mail it out, but you do need it prior to the meeting.
Just some wording so we can put in a resolution.
But I would
We'll
suspect...
do our own format on the resolution, but some wording that we could all use. Because I can't go to my board without recommendation of my TAC and my citizens.
And we have that same issue, I know, before the Planning Commission and before Council.
I drafted the resolution. I'll send you what I did.
Yeah, once you send it.
Supporting the concept and the goals.
Thank you very much.
Send me, if you send Jeff me a copy of that resolution. We did present to the Planning Commission of Youngstown preparatory to going to the council, and they did adopt. They did discuss a resolution. We lost the quorum, so we're coming back in January.
So I'd say by the end of the week, we should have some documents and language together that we can share with everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
So I gave you 2 more days.
Right. 3 presentations and the editing. We'll get it done. No problem. You sleep with your dad. Well, we'll get right on it. I think it's important.
Okay. So next on the agenda is the HUD extension status. We have good news there. We have received an extension from HUD through the end of June. And this is an extension simply of time, a no-cost extension. That being said, we really don't have any anticipated change in the work plan, but simply it gives us additional time to incur the expenses appropriately from an accounting perspective, to close the books out appropriately, and to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed relative to the output of the vision, framework, and products. So we just had a little bit more time to ensure that the organization produces what it said it would produce. And moving forward, it gives us a little bit more time to create a transition to the NEOSC 2.0, and thus the ideal date of July 1. So the HUD grant would end June 30th, and then the new organization, HUD-free organization, would begin on July 1.
And I think the question was raised during the executive committee of what's the work program for the rest of the time. I indicated that we have not really defined that beyond February because of the uncertainties of the grant, but we will, now that we know the HUD end date, and also when we will be done with the plan, we will look to a more detailed work program in March, April, May, and June, work with the chair and work also with the executive committee on that, so you know where we're headed relative to starting implementation, taking the word out, but also what level of staff work needs to be done to support the 2.0 work.
Any questions or comments? I do want to, I don't know if Lucy's still here, yes. I do want to thank HUD for the extension. I know that we spent a lot of time with them explaining why we needed it, and we're glad that you listened to our needs, and we will produce the best product we can. I know that was your objective in granting the extension. Next on the agenda is the status of the fund match grant. Here also we have some very good news. As I had mentioned at the last board meeting. I had been having some very positive and progressive conversations with the fund and their funding committee chair in order to identify how we would look to expend the remaining grant funds and what the timeline of that would be. To that end, we prepared 2 lists of, we call them menus, of items that the organization needed funding for, and we broke it down between NEOSC 1.0, the immediate needs to complete the vision, framework, and products, and then NEOSC 2.0, which would be the implementation of that vision, framework, and products. And I'm very pleased to say that the fund has granted nearly our entire request for NEOSC 1.0, which totals $30,575, and we would like to very much thank the fund for that. And as I had mentioned earlier in our executive committee, this is very important, not just because we needed the money. Certainly we needed the money to help complete the projects, but it's much, much more than the funds that they have provided us. What this demonstrates is their continued support of the organization. What it demonstrates is their desire to work with us in NEOSC 2.0 and in moving the region forward through the work that has been done. And for that support, I would like to thank Brad Whitehead and the fund. Thank you very much for your continued support of the work. Both HUD and the fund were our primary funding sources for NEOSC 1.0, and without those 2 funding sources, we could not be where we are now. And to think in a very exciting way about NEOSC 2.0 and how we will now take this to the implementation stage is terrific. And the remaining funds from the fund, after we utilize the $30,000, the fund will make available to us for NEOSC 2.0, but we will be looking specifically to develop proposals that would provide the best fit for the use of those funds for both organizations, and we would submit those proposals to them. Nevertheless, again, this is terrific news that we have support for 1.0 and for 2.0. So, thank you. Any other discussion or questions, comments here? Okay. Next item is the 2014 board meeting schedule and the annual meeting. January is the annual meeting. At the annual meeting, we will have the election of officers, and I believe that meeting is scheduled for January, is it 20th? 28th, January 28th. Any questions or comments on the board meeting schedule? Any,
Finance Committee.
I was going to say, I'm sort of going down what we didn't include, and maybe we don't need to, but the nominating committee outcome. This might be an appropriate time for Jeff to give a quick report on what the nominating committee is recommending for the January election. Thank you for that report. Moving on then to number 5 for information. Standing committee reports are either attached or no business was conducted. But Finance Committee does have a report, and I will turn that over to Commissioner Hambley.
Sure, and then Emma. You do have the attachment indicating that the Budget Committee, we did a conference call by phone in lieu of a formal meeting, just to discuss some of the financials, looking over the cash position and so forth, and they indicated some recommendations that Emma incorporated in the attachment that you have in the agenda, particularly regarding the budget for review and discussion. This is just a tentative that is based upon our, at this time, more recently learning that HUD is extending it, and certainly the further discussion based upon the movement to NEOSCC 2.0 needs to be further refined, but just at least to introduce that is in the attachment, and I'll turn it over the rest to Emma.
Thank you. And actually, I now see the nominating committee, so we can take everything Jeff Dutton said and put it under this, this item. Under organization, we have already presented the progress and status of the products, and the other items are attached. If there are any questions or comments on those items, we'd be happy to entertain them.
I would point out that the leverage match. Sarah, are you correct in 99%? Yeah. Yep. So we're close to the matching, meeting our full requirement. And again, thank you for filling the forms out, and I urge others who need to catch up by the end of the year to do so we can present that to HUD as well. Thank you.
And as I've mentioned before, there is nothing wrong with overmatching. So although we are always there for the official dollar amount that we need to match the grant, many of you have actually...
We'll have 6 months to go.
Well, true, we have 6 months to go, but many of you have pledged more than you currently have turned in, and some of that's because you may not have actually filled out the forms and turned them in, and some of it may be that you have not yet spent the time on the project, so you do have 6 more months to continue to try and provide that match. Any old business? Any new business? I'm sorry, Lucy, what are you pointing to? Oh, yes, new business. The red box is, just pretend it's a hat, because I think Fred said it was a hat earlier. But we are collecting a donation for
Larry. For Larry.
For Larry.
Larry the volunteer.
I was looking for him, but I don't see him. But
He's working, has you.
is he? But Larry is the gentleman who so graciously shows up at every board meeting to assist us. And as Fred Wright has pointed out in the past, he is a volunteer. He is not paid by the organization, and he does a terrific job assisting us. We want to thank him, and the round of applause was one way of thanking him, but we are also taking donations so we can have a nice gift to present to him.
And I wanted to say that I believe this is going to be your last meeting here at the Urban League unless you decide to come back. But if you don't, we have enjoyed hosting you. We have enjoyed working with you. I hope the space has been to your liking and to your accommodations. I do believe it has, but just wanted to say thanks to NEOSCC for hosting a number of meetings here in this location and up in my boardroom and everywhere else in this building. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. The space has been fantastic. So the accommodations were just what we needed, but also the friendly faces and the service that your organization has provided, as well as the volunteers. We do appreciate that. And the location off of the freeway just can't be beat. Terrific location. Thank you. Well, we want to give more people the opportunity to donate, and then we'll give Larry the box, I think. But since Larry did, well, now he disappeared again. Just wanted to say, Larry, while you were here, thank you very much. We really appreciate all of your assistance. You could not have provided us with better service. Thank you.
Hey, Grace, I just want to say, too, he a well-dressed brother, too, ain't he?
Yes.
He dresses well.
Okay, anything else under new business? Then I would like a motion to adjourn. Second? Second. All in favor? Meeting adjourned.